Now available on Tata Sky channel number 526.
Hello and welcome to the news here on Magic Bricks Now, India's first property business channel. I'm Krishna Kumar. Let's take a look at the top stories that we're tracking. Kerala gets the country's first real estate regulator and it will come into force from the 1st of April. That's a Magic Bricks Now exclusive. Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramaniam red flags property taxes, calls for overhauling the property tax regime, says this can be used to finance the smart city projects in the economic survey table today. Central Bank of India asks buyers to exercise caution while dealing with real estate giant Unitech. The bank calls Unitech a defaulter, says the company has delayed payment on an installment of 38 crore rupees. Developers and architects cry foul as Pune Metropolitan Region Development Authority puts several projects on hold for months. Builder body blames incompetent officers failing to either interpret or implement bylaws. Straight up a Magic Bricks Now exclusive. Kerala has launched India's first real estate regulatory authority, the Kerala Real Estate Regulatory Authority, or KRERA. This comes while the rest of the country has been waiting for the real estate regulatory bill to be tabled in the parliament for years. The regulator in Kerala will come into effect from the 1st of April, and my colleague Rukmani Krishna is standing by with more details on that story. Rukmani, this is clearly a big boost for home buyers, especially in Kerala, isn't it?
Well, definitely, Krishna. This is a lot of cheer that is coming in for home buyers as the Kerala government has launched the Kerala Real Estate Regulatory Authority on February 25th. So basically what we are learning here is that the provisions and the penal norms of this regulatory is going to be more or less similar to that of the union draft bill. So some of the key highlights of the union bill include that promoters cannot book or offer their residential projects for sales without registering them. Remember, the approvals also need to be given the nod before they can go ahead and register these as well. Real estate agents will come under the ambit of this regulator. The promoter has to upload all of the details of their project, including layout plans, onto the RERA website, and these should pretty much also include the completion date of the project. Now we all know that 70% of the money that has been raised from the buyers will have to go into an escrow account, and this money should only be used for the purpose of construction. Now another interesting part over here from the union bill is that the state level tribunals, which are also known as the real estate appellate tribunals, will also be established, and that the decisions of these appellate tribunals can actually supersede those of the RERAs. And now coming back to the Kerala Real Estate Regulatory Authority, which we've been talking about, now the home buyers can actually access this regulator online using their portal www.rerakerala.org, and here they can access the layouts of these projects, they can track their registrations, they can even access the rules and the regulations of the Kerala regulator. So clearly a big positive coming in for home buyers, and this is definitely going to increase transparency in the real estate sector.
Absolutely. Rukmani Krishna, thank you so much for bringing us an update. And to give us more details, we have S. Ajay Kumar, the chairman of the Kerala Real Estate Regulatory Authority, joining us live here on the news on the phone line. Thank you so much for being with us here on the news on Magic Krishna, Mr. Ajay Kumar. Tell us, when will you begin actual work on the ground, and also what happens to the projects that are pending for permissions and those with partial permissions?
We propose to start from April 1st onwards. Actually, those projects which will be getting building permit after April 1st only will have to be registered. Other project promoters can register on their own if they want to do that.
Mr. Ajay Kumar, Rukmani was just pointing out that the provisions and penal powers will be similar to that of the union government bill. Tell us, what is different about your regulator in comparison to the centre's version?
We have taken one provision from the Maharashtra Act in which if there is a change in law and subsequently if there is a change in law of the state government in FAR or coverage or something like that, the rights of the owner or the promoter will be protected. That we had taken from the Maharashtra real estate bill.
Mr. Ajay Kumar, one last question before we let you go. Have you already set up an appellate tribunal?
We have already set up the appellate tribunal also. Means yesterday we have decided, the cabinet has decided to create the appellate tribunal also.
Mr. Ajay Kumar, Chairman of the Kerala Real Estate Regulatory Authority, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the news on Magic Bricks Now. The PMRDA has been rejecting several building permissions over the past few months. The reason, they don't meet the sanctioning criteria. However, Pune architects don't agree. We have Ruchi Deshpande, who tracks that market, joining us for more on that. Ruchi, tell us, what is the impasse over here exactly?
With the deal is that the PMRDA has refused to sanction new building permissions within its jurisdiction since the past 4 months. Now remember that before a building permission goes in for a sanction, it has to follow certain rules which have been drafted by the town planning committee, which is under the district collector of that region. The issue here is that there has been an issue of a misinterpretation between the PMRDA as well as the builders or the architects. Now, when we spoke to the architects, they said that this is a fault on the part of the PMRDA in interpreting all of this, because when they given their proposals to be sanctioned, they do so from the point of view of DCPR rules. What is DCPR? It's basically regional plan, development control and promotion rules, which have been drafted by the government. Hence, the architects feel that this is correct. However, when we spoke to the PMRDA on why they are not sanctioning this, the PMRDA said that there needs to be a certain level of clarity from the rules that have been drafted by the town planning development department, and this and then they will take it forward from there. What we also learn is the fact that the builders and the architects have written a letter to the PMRDA asking them to resolve this issue as soon as possible, and there will also be a meeting held between the builders and the PMRDA next week on Tuesday. So let's really see how this issue pans out after that meeting next week.
Ruchi Deshpande there with the latest on PMRDA versus builders. On that note, let's get back to the story. We're talking about how Unitech is in a soup thanks to Central Bank of India's advertisements and newspapers. And we do have our colleague Deepa Rana joining us now with more details on that. Deepa, take it away. Tell us more.
This advertisement in the leading newspapers cautioned people dealing with Unitech and its directors. Now, this ad was given by the Central Bank of India, and it says that the company has availed credit facilities to the tune of rupees 300 crores from the Central Bank of India. And what we also learn is that the account was declared as a non-performing asset on October 30, 2015, and on November 18, 2015, the company was liable to pay a total amount of 38,052 crores. Now, with interest as well. Now, we reached out to Unitech for their version also on this, and Unitech spokesman told us that we have already paid back rupees 264 crores out of rupees 300 crores taken as loan, and that the company expects to repay the outstanding amount within a short span of time, and also that it is comfortable on its debt position, and it is also committed to meeting the obligation towards its lenders.
Deepa Rana there with the latest on the trouble for Unitech. Thank you so much for bringing us that update. The economic survey table today red flags taxation in the real estate sector. It says property taxes across the board, whether the national, state or local body level, needs reform. It also calls for higher taxation. And we have Kavita Krishnan joining us with details of what the survey had to say. Kavita, tell us just what exactly did the economic survey had to say about the property tax regime in the country?
Well, Arvind Subramanian, the chief economic advisor, and his colleagues have all obviously, spent a lot of time thinking over property taxes, because it occupies a significant portion of the economic survey. In fact, what they have to say is that the property tax structure as of now is archaic. It needs reform, and if property taxes are reviewed periodically, and in fact the survey says it should be reviewed periodically. If it is reviewed periodically, it says that it can curb speculation. It can also be a source of recurrent finance for local bodies, which can also be used to finance smart city projects. Now, apart from this, there are certain other remarks that they have made about the real estate sector. Let me take you quickly through those. It says that real estate sector adds up to 8% of the gross value added, of India's gross value added, okay, which is what is being used now to measure growth. Apart from that, it says that the slowdown in sales in the real estate sector is leading to a high inventory overhang, and also it red flags the debt financing that is currently underway in the sector, says that there is too much of debt financing happening and this could be a source of stress in times to come. So these are largely what the economic survey had to say about the real estate sector.
Kavita, the one question that I have in my mind, and it's the mind of everybody watching us, is that what does all this mean for the home buyer?
Right. So the key takeaway from the survey is obviously what they had to say about property taxes. Now, before we move on, let me just tell you, make it very clear that the economic survey is essentially lays out a blueprint. It is a blueprint of how the government is thinking and what can be done. This does not mean that the government is going to do this. So it's not necessary that you'll see this in the budget that will be announced on Monday. It could come, it may not come. So it's not mandatory that the government follows it. Having said that, let me tell you, we've spent the day speaking to tax experts across the board, and this is how they read it. They are saying that the property taxes that you and I pay right now when we buy property, for the property that we pay on an annual basis, these are very archaic. These are levied on the notional rental value of the property at the time you buy it. You pay about 1% of that, which means, say you bought property in say 2000 and I bought property in 2015. Rents have obviously increased. So I am paying a higher property tax for probably the same property in the same building as compared to you because you bought it in 2000. Okay. Now the other thing is these are not reviewed. So they say static for the life of the property. So which means people who've bought older properties and more higher priced properties, like for instance in Bombay, say you were living in Valkeshwar and you bought or your father bought that property sometime, in the 60s or in the 40s, you would be paying property tax, and the rents over there have come under the urban, there's a ceiling over there. The rents are frozen. So say they are paying around 200 rupees or 300 rupees rent. So they are actually paying 1% of that as property taxes, and this is for some of the most priciest properties in the Indian market today. While you and me, say if we bought property in say Thane or Borivali or any other place across the country, like last year, we are paying far higher taxes for far cheaper properties, which is the anomaly that the economic survey tries to address over here. They say that this needs to be reformed, and it has to start at the local body level. And once that is, corrected, then the property tax can actually become a source of finance for the local body itself.
All right, Kavita, hopefully all eyes on Budget 2016 to see if there are any announcements, any hints that the economic survey has given that Budget 2016 will actually take up and address, especially when it comes to the archaic property tax regime in this country. Thank you so much for helping us understand and putting that into perspective. Moving on. The Bombay High Court today rapped the BMC and the state government on the knuckles for taking no concrete action in the Deonar fire case. The court, in its order today, directed the government to set up a committee to ensure that Deonar doesn't face such a problem again. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal, who has been tracking the story closely, was at the High Court today, and she gets us this report.
The Bombay High Court today rapped BMC as well as the state government for taking no concrete steps towards the garbage dumping that has created a havoc for the life of Mumbaikars. Now, this order came after a PIL was filed against BMC for taking no concrete steps after the fire that took place at Deonar last month pushed Mumbai's air pollution level to a whopping 300. What this essentially means is that 300 is an extremely dangerous level to be at, and the air that Mumbaikars were breathing was extremely hazardous for them. Now, the order that was passed today by Justice Oka, he said that a committee needs to be set up, the chair of which should be either a very senior IAS officer or an IPS officer. This committee should also have someone from either IIT or NIRI, and it should have a BMC official. Now, what this committee would do is that for the next 1 year, it will be held responsible if any fire takes place in Deonar or Mulund. Also, this committee needs to come out with solutions of what should be done with the existing garbage that is taking place at Deonar. Another thing which he said is that he has asked BMC to keep 2,000 square feet of land separate in the new development plan. He said that in this 2,000 square feet of area, plants should be set up which would process biodegradable garbage. The third thing he did is that he has extended dumping of garbage for the next 1 year. That is till July 30th, 2017, dumping can take place at Deonar and Mulund. The half order which is remaining would come out on Monday.
Now, Aishwarya also caught up with Mr. Rajkumar Sharma, the man who had filed the PIL against BMC for inaction after the fire took place in Deona. Listen to what he had to say about this order.
We are happy because the court was, the corporation was asking for 3 years up to 2019. The court has granted extension only up to 30th June 2017. It's a good thing. We are happy with the court orders. We are happy that the court has realized the severity of the problem and hope it will be a very drastic order and which will really make the state and the corporation stand up and do something about the waste management in Bombay.
Moving away from that, the Art of Living's 3-day World Culture Festival scheduled to be held on the flood plains of the Yamuna river bank has hit a legal snag. A group of environmentalists have raised objections over heavy construction taking place over the Yamuna's bank. It is alleged that the organizers have been clearing acres of land. Environmentalists have also raised an issue over plans to release enzymes into the river water to clean it before the event. I want to remind our viewers that the Yamuna River bank is also the location of the Okla Bird Sanctuary, where the NGT passed an order stalling the construction and occupation certificates of over 50,000 homes for nearly 2 years. If the court rules in favor of the Art of Living event, the organizers plan to erect a gigantic 7-acre stage for the coming event that will see around 35,000 participants. The case will be heard again on Tuesday, and we here at Magic Bricks Now will continue to track this case closely and keep you updated. Now, it's that time of the year when you plan your taxes. While you can claim tax benefits on your PPF, EPF and other fixed income instruments, you can also claim benefits on your home loan. However, taxation works differently for under construction and ready to move in properties. If your project gets delayed, you might just lose out on your tax benefit. Amita Balachandra finds out how.
2 BHK or a 3 BHK? Skyscraper or a villa? Under construction or ready to move in? While buying a home can be a complex process as it is, it's also important to plan your taxes and finances. Tax benefits differ for under construction and ready to move in properties. For instance, home buyers cannot claim tax benefits for under construction properties even though their EMI payments would have started. They can only do so after getting possession of their flats.
Within the limit of Section 80C, which is 1,50,000, along with other things such as your PPF or your insurance, you can claim for the principal repayments that you have actually paid during the year. As far as the interest is concerned, now that is a different kettle of fish. The current limit is 2 lakhs that you can claim in a year, provided your construction is completed in 3 years. Now there too there is a sub-clause or a sub-rider, you can say, that you can start claiming the interest from the year in which your construction is completed and you've received the possession.
However, you can avail the tax deduction on these EMI payments in 5 annual installments after getting possession. But this too comes with a caveat. The project you have invested in must be completed within a span of 3 years. If not, despite paying your pre-EMIs, the maximum benefit you can avail on the home you have purchased is just about 30,000 rupees.
What would happen if the construction is not completed within 3 years? Your 2 lakhs will come down to 30,000 rupees. So you will have to, and that too again, if the construction is not complete, you cannot claim it in that year. You will have to start claiming it only from the year in which the construction is complete.
Either way, the home buyer stands to lose in case of project delays. In fact, this has got the industry to stand up and demand for a higher tax benefit of up to 5 lakh rupees overall in the upcoming budget. With an industry grappling with project delays, what do you do as a home buyer?
Now this is something that you will have to test out in a court of law. I mean I cannot tell you that definitely you will win, but there's a very good chance that if it does go into a dispute with the department, that the courts might lean in your favor.
So make sure you read all the terms and conditions before you avail tax benefits on your home loans. Amita Balachandra for Magic Bricks Now.
All right, just about a couple of days left for Budget 2016 and we continue to focus on you, the home buyer. Magic Bricks Now stepped out to find out what expectations of home buyers like you and me are when it comes to Budget 2016. Listen to what home buyers in the national capital, Delhi, had to say.
चीटर बिल्डर्स काफ़ी एंटर हो गए हैं मार्केट में, उनकी वजह से जनरल बिल्डर परेशान हो रहे हैं। लोगों को घर खरीदने में बड़ा शक रहता है कि कहाँ से लें, क्या पता धोखा ना हो जाए। तो अगर ऐसा कोई बिल आता है जो कंज्यूमर के भी फेवर में हो और बिल्डर के भी फेवर में हो, जिससे एक विश्वास जगे और गवर्नमेंट को भी रेवेन्यू आए और लोग अपना घर खरीद सकें।
Every budget they're defining, we have affordability. Every policy is coming affordable housing and all, but affordable for whom is what they have to define. Like if they give houses for 60 lakh or something, it won't be affordable for a normal person. But maybe high income groups can afford it, of course. If the salary is 1 crore, 60 lakh is nothing for them.
People are unable to buy any houses, and houses can be brought only in outskirts of Delhi, like Noida, Gurgaon, Meerut side. But the commuting problem comes again. So I think there should be some policy for the lower income group, some middle income group, or there should be some facility in outskirts of Delhi and other towns, like other smart cities coming up. So I think there should be some facilities created and some job opportunities created there itself.
And with that, we have run out of time over here. If you have any feedback or suggestions for us, write to us on the email ID flashing on your screens. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, so feel free to tweet to us or post your query on our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you. Also, remember to check out our live streaming website, www.mbnow.in. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news on Magic Bricks Now. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.